Yes, Steph, Highway 410 still closed at this hour after that massive fuel spill. It happened yesterday afternoon in Brampton after a fuel tanker collided with a light standard and rolled. Now, luckily, no major injuries were reported, but the driver was taken to hospital for assessment. OPP closed the 410 between Queen Street and Williams Parkway for the cleanup and say there are environmental concerns as the tanker began leaking gasoline. Protective foam was used to prevent the fuel from igniting while crews work in the area. A crane was also brought in to lower the light assembly. And here is a live look at the scene right now. You can still see the crews working in the area to clean the spill. Now, police say the cause of the crash may have been due to a tire deflation. No word yet when this area is expected to reopen, but stick with us and we'll give you the latest. And it's official, Dundas Street will be renamed. Toronto City Council voted 17-7 yesterday to rename Dundas Street, as well as other public amenities bearing the name. The next step of the process is to hold public consultations on a new name. The renaming comes after a petition was launched by a Toronto man over a year ago in wake of the death of George Floyd. The street is named after Scottish Minister Henry Dundas, an 18th century politician who delayed Britain's abolition of slavery by 15 years. And Dundas never even stepped foot in Toronto. Another live look for you now on Dundas Street. Estimates put the cost of rebranding all civic assets at around $6 million. So that includes Young Dundas Square and Dundas Subway Station. It's unclear when public consultations will begin, but a new name is expected to be chosen next April. And still ahead, Mayor John Tory joins us live for his weekly check-in with the latest on his reaction and the future of Dundas Street. Plus, the city is moving to reopen more recreational options as Ontario enters Step 3. That's coming up just after 7 o'clock. School is back in session in September, and Toronto health officials want to make sure youth roll up their sleeves now so they are protected when they make their eventual return to the classroom.
Torontonians have embraced vaccination so thoroughly all these weeks and months. I really hope that our young people will embrace this moment too.
Dr. Davila is also asking that some COVID-19 related bylaws be lifted. They include extra requirements for restaurants regarding capacity and distancing rules in parks and public spaces. Masking policies for apartment buildings will likely remain in place. Ontario health officials say roughly 83% of people who tested positive for COVID-19 in Ontario and were hospitalized weren't vaccinated. That number is closer to 90% in Peel Region.
If you have never been vaccinated, if you get COVID-19, you don't know how your immune system is going to react. It is basically spinning the roulette wheel. So it could be a mild cold, or you could end up in ICU with a tube down your throat. That will remain for anyone who is unvaccinated.
This has become a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And so, once again, vaccines work. Vaccines protect you.
At the height of the third wave, Brampton's positivity rate was over 20%, and hundreds of patients were being transferred to other hospitals to ease capacity. But now Brampton Civic Hospital is currently treating just 5 COVID patients. Now, we are less than 24 hours away from Ontario entering Step 3 of its reopening plan, but some may not be comfortable seeing several major restrictions easing at the same time. Coming up at 8, we speak with a psychiatrist from CAMH about reopening anxiety. Calls continue to reopen the Canada-U.S. border. Legislators from across the U.S. Midwest have formally asked the White House and the Trudeau government to reopen the border for fully vaccinated travelers. France also opening its borders to Canada, calling on the federal government to return the favor. However, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada could face a potential surge in COVID-19 cases, especially the Delta variant, and more lockdowns if it is reopened too soon. Toronto FC and CF Montreal have both announced that games would return to Canada as early as this weekend, but the federal government says they haven't officially approved the team's plans. Federal Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino issued a statement saying Ottawa is reviewing MLS COVID-19 protocols with local and provincial health officials, but a national interest exemption for both teams hasn't been granted yet. A TFC spokesman said the club planned on having 7,000 fans made up of frontline healthcare workers and season ticket holders at BMO Field this Saturday. Meantime, the Toronto Blue Jays are still waiting to see when they can return to Canada. The Jays released their proposal to start home matches back in Toronto by July 30th. In order for that to happen, they would need to hear from Ottawa by Friday, but federal government sources reportedly say that decision isn't expected to be released this weekend. And we all know what it's like to binge watching too much Netflix, but what about binge gaming? New reports that the streaming giant is poised to enter the video game market. Mike Apple has details next.